All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me, and good to be here. Hope everyone's having a good morning. So, just introduce myself. My name's Sorin, and I'm here to talk, contrary to what Mo said, about aviation. Just kidding. That's just my other passion. But I'm an engineering manager at JP Morgan, and I want to talk to you about how we leverage React Native without compromising on our security, speed, and quality. First, a little bit about myself. So, this was me 6 years ago. I went through the interview process and I was a bread and butter iOS engineer. I just told the recruiter a few weeks after, you know what, not interested, don't know what this React Native thing is all about. I'm an iOS engineer. Thanks for your consideration. To which he said, "Oh, don't worry, Soren, you don't have to do you don't have to do React Native. You can just focus on iOS." Well, don't trust recruiters, right? Um, so seriously though, I'm an iOS engineer. I came from a similar background to what Mo was describing earlier. Learned iOS development back when Xcode didn't even have Arc support. So kind of came through that environment, worked in normal tech before my work at JP Morgan. Joined Chase in 2020, also as an iOS engineer, and then eventually took on more and more responsibility as the project grew, working on authentication, working on some React Native modules, and later on became or switched over to the dark side, as they call it, more of a managerial role. And for the past couple of years, I've been doing more of the front end chapter leading, and I'll speak more a bit about that in a sec. But first, a history of Chase. How many of you are Chase customers? Okay, not bad. So, one question we get a lot is, are you the same Chase as the US? Well, just want to go into how our project started. So, more than 200 years ago, yeah, different Chase. Basically, we're not the same project as Chase US. We have our own tech stack, we have our own infrastructure, and as much as I would love for us to have a Sapphire card, we're not there yet. So not announcing anything today, but yeah, maybe one day, one for next year. So basically, we have our own tech stack, we have our own freedom of choice for tools, for front-end development, for security, and so on and so forth. And we have a good team. Basically, the project started in 2019. We launched in 2021 as a retail bank. Those of you that have been with us since then or that have joined recently, we have rewards, credit cards, savings, investments, and next year we're planning to take over the German retail market and eventually the world. How do we build all this from a front end point of view? Well, as the project evolved, so did our structure in the front end space. Previously, we were all kind of scattered around, and it was funny to hear about the organizational issues, which I'm sure there's plenty of across various companies. But in the front end space, at least, as a horizontal structure, we have, put simply, the platform space and the experience space. In platform, we have everything that you might expect, from CI/CD to core capabilities around networking, security, infrastructure, React Native and native modules, things like Expo integration, and so forth. We also have third-party integration. So if you've used Chase, you would know that we have a third-party integration with something called MyTech. So then you can take a photo and onboard into the bank, and then eventually authenticate if you have to switch devices. Equally, on our experience side, we build all the capabilities that you all use on a day-to-day basis. So whether it's accounts, savings, and other capabilities, which from a platform space we need to support. So if there's an issue or an incident that somebody says, "Oh, the app's crashing," it's often less an experience situation and more of a platform one that we need to address. So I spoke a bit about tech stack. Like I said, we have free choice of what we do and what we use and how we use it. We're not strictly bound to the other parts of the bank. Obviously, JP Morgan's a big institution. We have lots of regulatory requirements to fill. We have audits that happen internally all the time. At the end of the day, our job as the Chase UK team, and more specifically in the front end space, is to ensure that our app is safe, the customers can use it, that we don't crash, that we have a good performance, etc. So to that end, we I put Expo on the slide, but it's something that, spoiler alert, we're still working on. So would love to chat with you all about your experiences and kind of how we migrate more and more to Expo, and eventually the new architecture, as the previous folks were describing. But we do have our apps broken down into micro front ends. That way we can serve all of our teams with a kind of one-to-one module mapping. So if you have accounts, the accounts team would be responsible for one particular area. In order to facilitate better performance across the app, we've pushed the business to move towards GraphQL more and more. We're kind of there, but there's still a lot of REST endpoints that we need to call. But in the React Native space, and for the most part, we do use GraphQL where we can, which helps our performance. From a security point of view, one of the benefits, I guess, of being part of JP Morgan is that we can plug into the internal infrastructure. So whether that's vulnerability identification or some other bits that I'll talk about in the next slide. One of the challenges we've had, and I'm sure it's a controversial topic, is testing. How do we test? How do we make sure that React Native and Native are equally well tested? Do we just have tests in the different areas? Do we have test engineers that can do all this? And I'm sure many of you have had similar conversations, but at this point in our maturity, we run on a you build it, you run it mantra. So to that end, rather than using kind of Appium and Detox and the native tools for testing, we've recently started a migration to WebDriver.io, which allows the engineers that build the capabilities to also make sure they're tested properly. That further removes some of the burden and ensures a good amount of quality that people might look for, and more accountability at the end of the day for teams. So why React Native? Well, I wish I was the person that can take credit for the choice of stack, but I only joined as an iOS engineer. But I think it's come to help us and serve us really, really well over the last 5 or 6 years since we've started the project. Obviously, the benefits are clear at this stage, both in terms of the platform maturity, but also in terms of how fast we can ship things. As a bank, in addition to our security needs and everything else we need to do, we don't have the luxury of saying, oh, I'm sorry, savings on iOS will only come out in 2 weeks or in a month because we're not ready. We have to ship things at the same time and then at parity in terms of quality and execution. So at the end of the day, it really helps not just the customer, but also the business from a day-to-day standpoint. One caveat that came up a few years ago was leadership came to us and said, well, how should we focus our architecture? We said, well, React Native is doing well. There's some performance kinks at the time that we wanted to sort out. We were working on them. We're making improvements where we can. But in general, the native side of the app was small and is getting smaller, mostly focused around some of the third-party integrations, but I'll get to that. So we said, well, let's just focus on React Native long-term. And then leadership came back and said, okay, great, you can use React Native, but can you then share to or import from other parts of the business as needed? So if we're building some other project inside the bank, or if you want to integrate a Nutmeg, can we use it? To which the answer is wholeheartedly yes. We have modules that we can import from other parts of the business in React Native. The Nutmeg, well, now known as personal investing integration. If you've used Chase, you might have seen like your pots and investment funds in the app. That's a native module imported into the React Native ecosystem. So overall, it gives us what we need, and it allows us to grow as needed. Additionally, one thing that I don't have a screenshot, but something that we've been building a lot over the past few years is kind of server-driven UI. So going back to the point of not having to build it twice, by using React Native, some very, very smart folks across the bank have built a render integration. Oh, sorry. Is that okay? So that way we can just build the UI, or well, engineers or product can build the UI. We have the response come into the app, and that will show in React Native and it can all be smoothly and properly showing without having to think about, oh, how do we build this on native? How do we do it on Android and iOS? So overall, it ensures the best speed for execution, the best performance for our customers, and it also future-proofs us for the long run in terms of architecture needs and anything else we might need, like say if we were to launch a web product. All of this, of course, is built by a relatively small team. Between platform and experience, we have 60, 70 odd engineers. So yeah, I think it goes without saying that we have a good pool of talent, and it's only ever expanding with all the people in this room. Security. Well, thankfully, my security colleagues are not here today. So with that in mind, and everything that we've just talked about, React Native is no longer the thing that security can point the finger at and say, well, it's not secure, oh, you're doing this wrong, or we can intercept calls. Yes, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, we had our security colleagues that maybe had too much time on their hands and could intercept calls from JavaScript and do all sorts of naughty things inside the app. But these days more so, obviously, you might do the normal things around HTTPS, TLS pinning, authentication, and so on. And you can still use native where you need to. If you have, I mean, we have requirements to use some third-party tools that are purely native, and there's no going around those. But we can still use React Native quite well in terms of vulnerability assessments through, well, in our case, through Snyk. But you can use things like Dependabot or whatever your tool of choice might be out in the wild. So that way we can plug into the overall JP Morgan environment, but then we also get the benefits of the React Native ecosystem with speedy updates to everything that's being built and tested out there in terms of performance and security. And we can do so much, much faster than having native modules from third parties that maybe take a little while longer to execute. So overall, we benefit a lot from React Native, not just in terms of feature delivery, but also in terms of our security capabilities. And like I said, Expo is also something that we're working on at the moment, and new architecture, which will only add to how performant our app is and how security is implemented across the app. It goes without saying, React Native has been amazing. It's allowing us to build a beautiful app quickly in multiple markets, abide by all the security needs of the business, and ultimately with an ever-expanding pool of talent. As everyone has said before me, the React Native ecosystem, both in terms of engineering, talent, and so on, is only growing, and the technology is clearly here to stay. So React Native lets us move fast and safely in ultimately one of the most, if not the most, regulated industries in the world. So that's us, and we have a booth downstairs. Come talk to us, and looking forward to meeting you.